So another thing that comes up when we talk about this topic is parents say, well, what if my kid's is satisfied with B's? We say, honey, you could be doing better, a little bit more effort, and you could be getting A's. And the kid says, I'm happy with B's. And my response to that is that basically there's no hope. That this kid that doesn't have to work well. But that's, no, I made that part up. But my sense is, as a former B plus kind of or B minus C plus student in high school, that I just have trouble taking seriously the idea that the kids have to always aspire to being top students in order to find something cool to do in this world. And I'm somebody who had virtually no intellectual interest until I was almost 19. In fact, I thought it was kind of stupid to have intellectual interest. I was more into sports and rock and roll. And I think I developed a brain, though, through particularly passionate involvement in rock and roll, that once I developed some intellectual interest, I could go pedal to the metal. And as an adult, I've liked nothing better than reading and writing and preparing lectures or writing an article or something. And yet, when I was in high school, that was the last thing I would ever consider doing. And I think that I'm grateful for my parents for not challenging my preference for playing rock and roll to studying, not trying to make it impossible for me to pursue my passion, and instead thinking it's much more important that you get really good grades. And some people say, well, times are different now. And that's not my sense. My sense is that this is a very forgiving country, that if you aren't a top student and you decide at some point, gee, I want to do something where I need better grades, you can go to community college, you can take an extra year and develop an academic record, or that kids always have a chance to develop their academic power if they want to. But if a kid decides, I'm happy with B's, all we want to do, from my point of view, is let them know there's advantage to having A's. And if you have a good grades, there's all kinds of things that could happen, including your driver's insurance and academic options out of high school and this and that. But if kids find other things more important, we can honestly say to them, I want you to follow your passion. If you decide that you want to do something that requires you to do better in school, I have confidence that you can figure it out, and I'll support you in any way. But I think the idea that I couldn't make a compelling case that B's aren't okay for kids at certain times in their life.
Well, I think also if you shame kids and the idea that somehow B it's a character, not of what you're putting in right now, but there's almost something wrong with your character, right? It makes it awfully hard I don't think that's going to motivate kids. Well, gosh, thanks for that, being talked down to. Now I'm really going to try to get A's. I think a lot of times kids will then sort of almost hold that as a badge of honor, and sort of, well, then I'm not going to be an A because rah, rah, rah. I reflected, I had this kid in high school, and I was helping him with the SAT and so vocabulary words, and he wanted nothing to do with this, right? Well, I got an email from his mom when he was a senior in college. And somewhere during he'd done a year abroad in Argentina and had become fluent in Spanish and really developed this love of a language that he hadn't really had before. No one knew that he had. And so he not only became fluent in Spanish, but he took abiding love of words and went home over break and dug up this silly box of vocabulary cards that he kind of ignored for all the time that we were together, and learned all these words. And a switch was flipped in his head, and he became really interested in this and became a much, much, much more serious college student than he'd ever been in a high school student. I think partly because he was resisting how geeky his sisters were, and ended up being towards the top of his class, and then went on to law school and is an attorney and really loves it because he found for him an authentic love of language and of words, and developed in a way that I could have given him pep talks and talked to him, I was blue in the face, and he would have done those vocabulary words, but only under duress. And so the idea that you constantly have a chance every year to be a different person. And last year I was a B student. Well, maybe this year will be the year that I'll be a B plus student.
I love it. And I will also say that I ask teenagers to think about two things. I ask themselves two questions. One is, what do I really love to do? What do I truly enjoy doing? And what can I do better than most people? And I think it's really that intersection that allows us to get a sense of how might we what might we study? How might I make my way in this world? How can I serve this world? And I think that I love Ken Robinson's book, Sir Ken Robinson, the eminent British educator's book, The Element, where he defines being in your element is in this intersection of your passion and your skill. And I think it's more important that we support kids in finding their element, and that it is that we try to encourage them to be equally good at everything. I mean, the great challenge for kids to get in elite schools is they have to be equally good at everything. They have to be largely straight A students and put as much time and energy into chemistry as they do into English, even if they have no interest in going into science. And I think it's a challenge here because we want kids to be able to go to the colleges they want to go to. On the other hand, there's a lot of kids who are pushing 30 who have no clue about what they really truly love to do and what they're good at, because I think they focus so much on
Grades alone.
Grades alone, yeah.